Predictably tough time communicating yesterday with over 70,000 Saints fans yelling as loud as they possibly could almost the entire game. To the point that members of the media said the water bottles in the press box were shaking, a la Jurassic Park.
Man, early in this game, I thought the crowd was going to win it for New Orleans themselves. Like, I had never seen the quarterback run all the way to the far side of the field, wide receiver, to try to communicate a play. It was deafening on television. I can't imagine what it was like in that building.
Yeah, there's no building like it when you're able to have a roof and that noise can't go anywhere. And the way the fans are there in New Orleans, man, that was a spectacular environment for a football game.
And the everlasting shot of Jared Goff is going to be this. Just trying
they plugged his ear holes.
Yeah. All right, time now for some stories to start your morning, sponsored by Gillette Clear Gel. Big second half for Patrick Mahomes in last night's AFC title game. After being shut out in the first, Mahomes threw for 3 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards. Nick, what did you make of Mahomes' performance?
I mean, he was spectacular. Had limited opportunities. They had no running game. He was the only quarterback this weekend not to throw a pick. All the other 3 quarterbacks threw combined 4 touchdowns. He threw 3 of them. That drive with 39 seconds left to get them in field goal range is really, I don't think it's overstating it, the stuff of legends. They just never got the ball back. But he was outstanding under constant duress.
I thought they had a tremendous game plan, too, against him. There were a number of plays he could have really made some bad decisions. Patty Mahomes is a star in this league. Best player in the NFL. We started a draft. You can have anybody in the league. Patty Mahomes, I'm taking him with the first pick.
Wow. All right, despite the Rams winning yesterday, Todd Gurley did not have a great game, only carried the ball 4 times, dropped 2 passes, leading many to wonder if he might be injured. After the game, Gurley said he was not hurt, just that he had a, quote, sorry performance. See, you buying this?
Well, I think that Todd Gurley, now he wasn't on the injury report. They said he was a full participant in practice, but to me, Todd Gurley didn't look like the Todd Gurley that I know. And I don't know if it was nerves early, because that first drop, it was like he looked like a nervous football player. They decided to go with C.J. Anderson. I thought the game planning that Sean McVay and them came up with when Todd Gurley, which I didn't believe was healthy, I thought it was brilliant.
Listen, Todd Gurley certainly didn't look healthy, but credit to the Rams for having a viable backup option. Todd Gurley is almost assuredly the best offensive player on their entire team. He's been not much of a factor the last 4 games, yet they've had enormous contributions from the running game thanks to the addition of C.J. Anderson, a player
General Manager Les Snead has done a tremendous job being aggressive in the offseason, bringing all those superstars together and getting C.J. late in the season where anyone could have had him.
And he was the freshest player on both sides. Back to the no call that swung the NFC Championship game. Rams cornerback Nickell Robey-Coleman agreed with a furious Sean Payton. When asked after the game, he said, quote, hell yeah, that was pass interference. See, what'd you make of all this?
It was definitely pass interference. If you can see early in the play, Nickell Robey-Coleman, he was totally out of position. He lined up on the right side of the defense, and in trying to rush in a panic, he saw that the back or the flat, that was his responsibility. So he tried to make contact, trying to time it up. He gets there before the pass. Not only was it pass interference, but they could have called helmet to helmet, something they stopped calling since the first month of the season.
This is an obvious blown call. I would encourage the NFL and the media that cover it not to overreact in this regard. You do not want penalties to become reviewable. So rarely is it this crystal clear, this obvious, and this game-changing. And what it will do to the flow of the game and what it will do as far as coaches challenging any touchdown, looking for a holding on the other side of the field would be awful. This, though, if you're a Saints fan, this is a tough one to ever get over.
All right, finally, after being down 13 points in the first quarter, the Rams managed to come all the way back and pull out the win in overtime. They will head to their first Super Bowl since the 2001 season. CeCe, how impressed are you with the Rams' comeback?
Well, the Rams were on a mission all season, and they're very, very talented. I think that what made it so impressive was they didn't have Todd Gurley. They needed Jared Goff to be a force multiplier. And he was. He made the throws he needed to make. He was under duress late in the game. off his back foot. He's able to get the ball out to the flat to pick up a big gain, get them just enough yardage to be able to kick that field goal. So I think how they did it was very impressed. We know the noise, it wasn't getting any quieter.
No.
So later in the game, the ability to be able to function where, man, they could have been blown out in this game early with that slow start, huge turnover early, being able to recover from that. With Jared Goff, with the questions being on him, I thought Sean McVay and them did a great job of protecting him, come up with a great game plan, and he delivered enough throws for them to be able to get the win.
I'm glad you focused on Jared Goff because I want to talk about the other people surrounding him. The reason it wasn't a blowout early is the Rams defense showed up early and throughout the game. But that first drive for the Saints, drive down the field, hold them to a field goal. Then the quick change after the Gurley, where it went through his hands, intercepted, they hold him to a 3-and-out. 8 yards, they're kicking another field goal. And then the Rams special teams, they did to the Saints the exact thing the Saints did to the Eagles. The Saints in a similar spot, down 14-0 against Philadelphia. They went for a fake punt, and they got it. They're down 13-0. They go for a fake punt and even gutsier one because it's more than 1 yard to gain and involves your punter, who was a quarterback once upon a time, throwing the football. And credit to the coaching staff for believing that Greg Zuerlein can hit a 57-yard field goal. That is a big play that if they miss it, we are here this morning saying, should they have punted? You know what I mean? Was that smart to give Drew Brees the ball at midfield? They trusted Greg the Leg Zuerlein to be able to hit that kick. He had a nails 48-yarder to put it to overtime, and then a 57-yarder to win it.
And I think his long was only 61, so it was really close to that. But on Thursday or Friday last week, Eric Mangini made an interesting point about this Rams defense. He said sometimes towards the end of the season, when you know you're going to make the playoffs, everything sort of gets routine, you get a little bored, and maybe the defense isn't as focused or engaged as they maybe should be, but he thought they would bring it in the game like this. Did you think they were playing as engaged, or, I mean, the kind of defense we assume they would be when this defense was all put together earlier in the year?
What Coach Mangini talked about is veteran players, the mundane of the regular season, and them having a gear or two that they can go to. Because there's no way a player is coasting. But when you have players like Ndamukong Suh, when you have players like Talib, when you have players like that came over, Peters, that came over from other teams, and they're there for this year. They're hired guns to try to win this year. It's easy to be, because they're talented. That's why they got an extra gear to go to, and most of them have been in some type of playoff format, some type of sudden death experience. So this is what I expected from the Rams. I thought they were good. They came into this game healthier, and that health proved out throughout that overtime.
And in a copycat league, I hope teams take what the Rams did this offseason and look at acquiring super talented players that might have some questions or some reason they're available, and saying, you know what, if our infrastructure and culture is good enough, we're going to get the most out of them. I'll tell you this much. The team that didn't have Marcus Peters last night, the Kansas City Chiefs, wish they did. And the team that did have him is glad they traded for him. And Ndamukong Suh, for the second straight playoff game, was extraordinary. Aqib Talib did an excellent job. We talked about what C.J. Anderson was able to do. They went for it this year, and now they're one game away from having it all pay off.
And credit to Wade Phillips for making sure all those personalities were focused just on football this season. All right, for the third straight year, Tom Brady, he's got Super Bowl plans. He'll be in Atlanta if you need him. He and the Patriots